This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, you're listening to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio with me, Deb Wolf, your host, and we are going to be talking about some of the most beautiful animals, birds and fish and bears and other animals that you could see if you came to visit where I live. And I know I talk about these wild animals all the time on the air, and I get emails and texts and phone calls and questions about people complaining because they would like to see what I see and they don't know how to get that experience. So today I've got a special guest, John Holly, and he has bed and breakfast places that you can rent. You can come here and get the experiences I'm talking about. So instead of listening to me tell you about eagles and osprey and sturgeon fishing and all the amazing things you see in our sky and our water and our forests here, you could actually book a room, stay on the farm, stay at the lake, kayak, paddle, and see it all yourself. So welcome to the show, John. Good to have you.
Thanks, Deb.
So tell us a little bit about where you are. I know it's Hatzic Lake, and it's a special lake, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in the big picture, it's like about an hour and a half east of Vancouver, BC, and it's kind of a small lake, maybe a mile across, but it's a shallow lake. So it's like very fertile and completely full of carp, sturgeon, and crappie and other fish. And it's on the migration route for like so many birds. They nest here and they just come here throughout the different seasons. So it's always interesting.
Well, I got a list off the internet of all the fish there. There's crappie, stickleback, brown bullhead, carp, chum salmon, coho salmon, cutthroat trout, large-scale sucker, northern pike minnow, formerly north squawfish, peamouth chub, pink salmon, prickly sculpin, rainbow trout, steelhead sturgeon, and smallmouth bass. And also juvenile, coho, and let's see. Well, but the big surprise is the landlocked sturgeon, right, John?
Yeah, there's some landlocked huge sturgeon, yeah. And
okay, so I see Karen Williams has joined us. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Hey, good morning, you guys. How are you?
We're good. Welcome to the show. So now we're talking to Karen Williams and John Holly, and they have extensive experience paddling on that lake. So tell us a little bit about what it's like to go for a paddle there, Karen.
Well, I can use yesterday as an example. It was absolutely fantastic. We went up one of the canals. We got to see a bear up the tree, a really cute, fuzzy one.
Oh, what kind of bear? Was it
a nice
brown
bear? A black bear.
Oh, nice. Okay. And was it an adult bear?
No, I'm going to say it was probably a cub.
Nice.
This year's cub. But it was very cool. Pulled everybody off to the side so that we could see him up the tree. And what was really great was we had a little one with us, so he got to see it fantastically. And of course, as you're watching the bear going up the tree, you have ducks rowing right beside you.
Well, that's okay. So I went on a paddle with you guys. I came out to check it all out before the show so I could be kind of reporting myself on what I experienced. And the tameness of the birds is pretty incredible there. I couldn't get over. One of the people who was kayaking with us, a guy named David, was able to actually pull flowers and weeds and feed them. Like they were just so tame.
Well, when you think about it, our living quarters are very close to everybody, correct? So They get to like us and we get to like them. And I don't think anybody goes out of their way to cause havoc towards them. So I think they trust us.
It's a really peaceful place. Those salmon, the sturgeon, they have incredible, like the details about them is really something. The males live 50 to 80 years. The females can live up to 150 years. And they're enormous. They're like 20 feet long, some of them. So I don't know. Have you ever seen a sturgeon, John?
Yeah, I've seen them a few times, not too much. They're a little bit rare here, but it's but the Fraser River here, there's which is not far at all. It's world famous, and you can people come from all over the world. They're catch and release. It's a huge fun thing. You catch them. It takes an hour to land them, and then you can take your photo with them and let them go, and they'll get caught again another day. But yeah.
Well, we're approaching the first break in the show coming up, but I just want to let you know that what we're talking about is an Air B&B, a place you could stay on a beautiful farm, a beautiful piece of land on the north end of a lake. So you're facing south onto the lake. You look out and you see birds. The sky is full of osprey and eagle. The water's full of ducks. There's fish everywhere. It's only 45 minutes to some of the best golf courses in Harrison Lake. It's an hour to Vancouver, 3 hours to Whistler. There's 58 golf courses in the area. It's 30 minutes to the border or the Fun Castle. So it's a perfect place for you all to come stay and see all this wildlife. All right, we're going to go to break, and we'll be back with Karen Williams and John Hawley talking about the Airbnb experience on Hatzic Lake. Stay tuned to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, we're back on Animal Party on Pet Life Radio. And one of the success stories is the osprey. The osprey is a raptor, bird of prey. And it was almost extinct from DDT hurting the eggs. And once DDT got banned, the population rebounded. And now it's doing just fine. And I'm sure you all can attest to that. Have you seen any ospreys lately, Karen or John? Are they filling the skies there?
I'm not going to say that they're filling the skies, but yes, over the last couple of years, I have seen the population increase in this area. I'm seeing at least 2 now on a daily basis.
The other one that I super like is the turkey vultures, because they're so huge. They're actually bigger than eagle, and they just soar and they drift, and they're just incredible looking birds. But they all come in different seasons. Like you might see the osprey at one time of the year, eagles come in masses at other times, and then the turkey vultures wheel in, and it's always fun and interesting here. Yeah.
Then you have the swan.
The swans, yes. Those are like interlopers. They're not really supposed to be there, but they're there. We got quite a lot of birds who are not native, and they're just a little off where they're supposed to be, and now they live here. So what do you think about those swans? Pretty majestic, huh?
Yeah, they're absolutely huge, but they come at just a certain time of the year, and then they all leave. And there might be a few that stay and mate and reproduce here. But yeah, when you're taking off in the lake, you can hear their wings hitting the water, and so it's pretty impressive. And yeah,
when they take off from the water and they fly up towards the land, and they're right over top of your head, the sound that those wings make is massive amounts of just airlift that they're getting. It's wonderful. And they always come in 2s, and then you'll always have that one off by itself. But by the end, everybody's all in 2s.
Yeah, they all pair up. Well, okay, so some of these birds do mate for life, like eagles and ospreys. And the osprey and swans. And the ospreys have this really interesting they're very, very prehistoric. They're Jurassic, the ospreys. And they have nostrils that close when they dive and an extra toe to grab fish. So they are like expert fishermen, these things. They travel 160,000 miles in their life, which is about 15 to 20 years. And they have 8 sounds, 8 communications, like 8 sentences or words. Do you think you can recognize some of their sounds?
I can recognize the eagles. The
You can
eagles are
recognize
little.
the eagles? The
Yeah, I
eagles sort
recognize
of,
the eagles.
they kind of shriek, don't they? They sort of have an eerie sound, the eagles, like a squeal almost.
And if you're lucky, you get to see the owls once in a while, and they, everybody knows the woo, woo, woo owl sound, which is kind of cool.
We have 2 on property that we see quite a lot.
You know what else, if I could say something that we see a lot, is we got like a whole little family of goats, and Walter the donkey who protects them, and a couple of roosters that just wander around, and it just adds to the fun ambience of the place. And
Well, and I heard that in July, 90% of your Airbnb guests saw bears. Is that true?
in July, it is, and they just love that. That's the highlight. This house is it's a super cool house. It's somewhat big, but it's all built with super charming old natural oiled woods and hand built furniture and all that. And then the other house just has historic old house, but for all the guests, the highlight is Walter and the wildlife.
Yes. Okay, well, we're going to go to one more break and come back and talk about that, because I want people to understand what kind of an experience they'd have if they checked into this Airbnb. So stay tuned, everybody, on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. We'll be back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, we're back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. And if you check into this Airbnb, you are going to experience a kind of Zen calmness. It sounds exciting, the birds and the fish and the bears and the hummingbird nest and all this stuff going on. And yet it's totally tranquil there. So give people an idea of what they might experience, John.
Yeah, I call it Zen. It's just a vibe, tranquility, sereneness. Just the house, even the house, it's just, everybody says it's the most charming family or kind of Zen kind of house, and then it's just sort of set in the trees and right on the edge of the lake. So you're just sort of in this whole serene sort of setting, the house and outside the house. So it's and then with all the animals, it's just adds a very, very cool experience. And most people come, like the last group of youngish 30-year-olds from Vancouver, it's always, wow, this is better than expected. All the things we can do here. We can swim in this lake, even though it's not the cleanest, but it's clean, and they can kayak and they can hike around the property. I've got little trails. It used to be a tree farm, so I call it a woodlot. So it's undergrowth. You can wander around, and you might see a bear or a coyote or owl or snake, and just too many cool things, And so it all adds to the charm of the place. Yeah.
Well, how about the koi pond? What about that?
Oh, the koi pond. I forgot about the koi pond. It's actually, it's like it's probably 30,000 gallons, and it's right up against the house. And so you sit in the sunroom and you can see the koi. They're all coming, and you feed them every day. And there's actually a 3x5 window in the basement. You can see them swimming from underwater and whatnot. So the kids always love that. And koi are, it's just some it adds to that tranquility, sereneness. They're just sitting there watching the fish just, swim and drift. And
What were you going to say, Karen?
Adding to the tranquility of on the docks, you normally will have a crane, and that crane will sit there for hours, if uninterrupted, and in a perfect pose. And then when he takes off, it's just beautiful to see him in flight.
Oh, the great blue herons. Yes.
Yes.
They're exquisite and huge. And, there's so many birds that we have here that people think of as tropical, because you might see these birds in Florida, the bald eagles and these other birds. But actually, we have more bald eagles than Florida does. We have the largest gathering in the world every year from November to February in the lower Fraser Valley. So we have a lot of these marine birds, and we're on migration routes. And that lake of yours is a phenomenal stopping point for so many birds.
One other thing, we forgot about the Canadian beaver and also otters, and there's many of them around. And you don't see them often, but you can see their dams and their little lodges if you go kayaking up the streams. And where we went yesterday, you can paddle up to a certain point, and then there's a beaver dam, and you can just drag your kayak over, and then there's this most tranquil, huge ponds full of water lilies with fallen trees from the beavers where they eat and live. And that's one of my favorite things.
Well, we have unfortunately run out of time, but that's okay, because I'm going to have you back and do another show, because I want to talk about the kayak experience. When you stay at the Air B&B, you have access to kayaks. And so we're going to go in depth about that on another show if you'll be back. I hope you'll come back, both of you, and talk about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody, we are going to post links about how you can check out this Airbnb. There's a smaller place for rent and a whole house for rent. There's different options. And I don't know, John, if you want to talk about that a little bit, or where they could look it up, but we will be posting the link, so they'll just be able to click and find it. But you've got a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and you've got a few options, right?
Yeah, well, the main house that most people love is called Holleyville Lakeshore House. And like I said, it's an hour and a half east of Vancouver, and it's and about 10-15 minutes east of Mission. And it's located on the north end of Hatzic Lake, and it's situated on 33 acres of woodland with about 900 feet on the edge of the lake waterfront, and there's just farms around, and it's super, super quaint, and you're looking straight south, so it's the best exposure. It's just a beautiful place.
Beautiful sunrises and sunsets.
Crazy sunsets and sunrises, yeah. They look like they're photoshopped.
Well, and you know how you always have to pick, when you're on Airbnb, do you want waterfront? Do you want lakefront? Do you want mountain view? Well, you got it all in this place. You got all of that, right? Mountains, lake, waterfront. It's all there. Animals, quiet, yet close to the city. It's everything. So please look up Holleyville Lakeshore House, and we'll post the links. All right, everybody. It's been a great show. We're going to talk more with these two about the kayaking trips you can take. And you don't have to be an expert kayaker. So we're going to talk about that on our next show. Thanks so much for listening. From Deb Wolf, Animal Party, Pet Life Radio, John Hawley, Karen Williams. Be good to your animals.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.